think I'm like her in the sense that we don't indulge in the gossip. We don't listen to what people say about us. You just have to turn a blind eye to it. People are gonna talk, and you can't be hurt by that. You can't listen to that. And she's really striving. These days, I live my whole life. It's easier to fall into that, like talking about someone else and when you stick up for someone, you're going out on a limb when a whole group is making fun of someone. But I really tried to have some honor in my life.
Blake Lively is suddenly finding herself at the center of one of the most dramatic Hollywood storms of the year. What started as harmless chatter about her role in It Ends With Us has spiraled into a frenzy of speculation about her honesty, her friendships, and even her marriage. Fans are pointing out glaring contradictions in her past interviews, and the internet is now asking, is Blake telling the full truth, or is she carefully reshaping her story to fit the moment? In Hollywood, where reputation is currency, one contradiction can snowball into a full-blown crisis. And with social media amplifying every word, every glance, and every slip, Blake may not be able to escape the spotlight this time. But here's where it gets even juicier. Her co-stars, her once close celebrity friends, and even gossip journalists are fueling the fire. The question isn't just whether Blake is caught in a contradiction, it's whether her carefully built Hollywood image is starting to collapse. And as we peel back each layer, the picture only gets messier. One of the biggest flashpoints comes from Blake's own interviews. At one moment, she spoke openly about discovering Colleen Hoover's It Ends With Us later than most, even joking that she felt like she had been living under a rock for not knowing the book sooner. Yet in other moments, she gave the impression she had been fully aware of the novel long before joining the project. To fans, that inconsistency might feel small, but in the world of celebrity branding, it's huge. Because it raises the question, was she reshaping the story of how she came into the film to look more invested and connected than she actually was? Hollywood watchers say this isn't unusual. Stars often adjust narratives to match the marketing cycle. But when contradictions surface, it chips away at credibility. Online sleuths have been quick to dig up clips, placing them side by side to highlight the differences. The internet never forgets, and once the comparisons start trending, it's impossible to stop the avalanche of speculation. But that's not the only place Blake's image is cracking, because when you look beyond her words and into her on-screen interactions with co-stars, the tension becomes impossible to ignore. During press tours, fans began noticing something strange about Blake's on-camera chemistry with her It Ends With Us co-stars. In clips alongside Brandon Sklenar, for example, his body language became a hot topic. Online commentators pointed out how stiff and guarded he appeared when seated next to Blake, compared to his relaxed and natural demeanor with Sydney Sweeney or other colleagues. The speculation was instant. Was Blake's commanding presence overshadowing her co-stars, or was there something deeper behind his unease? Body language experts and gossip blogs had a field day, with theories ranging from professional intimidation to an awareness of Blake's sometimes sharp reputation in Hollywood. Of course, no one knows what Brandon was really thinking in those moments, but the pattern was enough for fans to believe the dynamic wasn't entirely comfortable. Meanwhile, Blake looked perfectly at ease, leaning back with confidence, often described as owning the room. To her supporters, this is just Blake being a natural star. But to her critics, it's a power play that makes others look diminished by comparison. And listen to this. When rumors about her friendships began to surface, those same clips were recirculated as evidence of a bigger shift. If the on-camera tension raised eyebrows, Blake's personal relationships threw gasoline on the fire. For years, Blake and Ryan Reynolds were known as staples in Taylor Swift's inner circle, their children even name-dropped in Taylor's lyrics. But fans noticed a shift. Reports began circulating that Taylor had distanced herself from Blake, cutting off communication and leaving Blake absent from major milestones. The ultimate sign? Blake wasn't present at Taylor's engagement celebrations, a glaring omission that didn't go unnoticed. For a friendship once built on red carpet appearances and social media affection, the silence felt deafening. And while friendships in Hollywood are always fluid, the timing couldn't have been worse. Rumors swirled that Blake had reached out multiple times to mend things, only to be met with silence. Social media lit up with theories, dissecting every like, unfollow, and missing tag. But that's not all. Eagle-eyed fans also began looking at Blake's marriage to Ryan Reynolds, and what they found sparked even more questions. Because while Blake was battling headlines, Ryan's own social media presence seemed curiously quiet, almost as if he were intentionally pulling back from the chaos. And in Hollywood, silence can sometimes speak louder than words. Ryan Reynolds has long been celebrated as the charming family man, quick with jokes and constant tributes to his wife on Instagram. But lately, fans noticed something strange. The tributes stopped. The anniversary posts, the birthday captions, the playful banter that once defined their relationship online seemed to vanish. Suddenly, the couple who once leaned into their perfect marriage image looked distant. Some fans chalked it up to Ryan being busy with projects, but others couldn't help but connect the dots. With Blake facing increasing public scrutiny, was Ryan quietly stepping back from the drama? Marriage speculation in Hollywood is nothing new, but when combined with the Taylor Swift fallout and the contradictions in interviews, the narrative began to shift. Blake, once positioned as the golden girl of Hollywood, now appeared isolated. And for a star whose image has always been tied to being half of a power couple, that shift is significant. But here's where the story takes another twist, because it wasn't just her friendships or her marriage under fire. Gossip reporters and online outlets claim Blake has also found herself clashing with the media in ways that could reshape her reputation even further. The media has never been easy on celebrities, but Blake's recent headlines have taken things to another level. Gossip blogs reported she clashed with journalists over coverage she considered unfair, while others accused her of trying to control the narrative. Critics compared her strategy to using media allies to push back against stories she didn't like, a move that often backfires in today's climate. The situation escalated when her name became linked to gossip commentators like Perez Hilton, who openly discussed her rumored feuds and Hollywood tensions. Love him or hate him, Perez framed the drama as an issue of free speech, suggesting that Blake's efforts to manage her image only made her look more defensive. Online, fans debated whether she was being unfairly targeted or whether she was simply struggling to keep her story straight. Either way, the constant coverage kept her in the headlines for all the wrong reasons. And here's where things get even wilder. While Blake's team scrambled to contain the damage, Justin Baldoni, her co-star and frequent subject of speculation in this saga, appeared steady and focused. That contrast only amplified the perception that Blake was losing control of the narrative. At this point, the pieces start to fit together into a larger picture. Contradictory interviews, tense body language, fractured friendships, a quiet husband, and ongoing media battles. All of it feeds into one theme, a carefully curated image showing cracks. Blake Lively has long been seen as the poised star who could balance career, family, and fame with ease. But the latest wave of gossip paints her differently, as someone scrambling to protect a story that's no longer believable. Whether or not the rumors are true almost doesn't matter anymore. In Hollywood, perception becomes reality, and once the public starts to question your authenticity, the damage is already done. Still, Blake isn't down for the count just yet. Her career, her fan base, and her influence remain powerful tools if she can find a way to reset the narrative. The only question is, will audiences forgive and forget, or is this the beginning of a lasting fall from grace? One thing's for sure, this saga is far from over, and the next twist could be the most explosive yet.